Good morning. I'm Michele, and this is episode number 20, Late Night Snacking. Welcome to the I Cut the Mustard show, where a plant-based diet and small, simple moves make healthy change happen. And where we believe that you already have what it takes to slice through any barrier that stands in your way. Shing! You're sharp enough. You cut the mustard. Hey, welcome back. Today, we're going to take another intimate look into my life and my problems. I hope you enjoy that. But I just really liked a couple episodes ago whenever I took you through some of my models and kind of broke it down for you, because I really feel like it's going to help you see how to do it in your life. And maybe we kind of all struggle with the same things sometimes. So then maybe that'll help you struggle with the thing, or help resolve the thing that you're struggling with. So today I'm talking about late night snacking. Oh boy, this is a big one for me. And I know it's a big one for a lot of you, because at the end of the day, we've all been working really hard. You've been busy all day. A lot of times we don't take time for ourselves to just like sit and relax. So by the end of the day, we're sitting there and we feel like, man, I deserve a rest. I deserve a snack. I'm just going to sit here and relax. And the easiest way to do that is to just go grab some food. And so that's our habit, right? And it's hard to just break out of that. Even whenever you have other stuff to do, there's just like this habit behind you, this tendency to keep going to the fridge at nighttime. So why is that such a big problem? Well, maybe it's not. I was just talking to my daughter. She is having trouble with, maybe she probably doesn't want me to tell everyone in the world, but she sucks her thumb, and she has been sucking it, obviously, for a long time since she was a little girl. And now she's at the age where socially it is not acceptable anymore. She needs to stop sucking her thumb. And I thought, I was talking to her about it because she's been really stressed about it. And she's like, I want to, Mom, but I just can't. I can't stop sucking my thumb. And it's just, I feel like a hypocrite talking to her about it, because I have so many habits that are just the same, just like eating. I want to stop. Part of me wants to stop, but part of me doesn't. Part of me thinks it's a comfort. It's great for me. And so I just keep doing it. Every night before bed, she sucks her thumb. Every night before bed, I go get a snack, right? So in talking to her, I was thinking, man, what? It's not a big deal to suck your thumb. It's not hurting your teeth. The dentist said it's not. It hasn't shifted or causing her any dental problems so far. So it's just this, it's just a socially unacceptable thing right now. But honestly, is it really hurting you? And for her, I said, you know what? It's not a big deal. It's not bothering your teeth. It's not hurting anyone. If it really helps you calm down, then go for it, girl. You're not eating. You're not, you know what I mean? So for her, I said, what if it's just not a big deal? What if you just keep doing it? And I'm just not going to talk to you about it anymore, and you just do your thing. So for now, we've decided, hey, you know what? It's not a big deal. I'm going to keep doing that. So if that's how you feel truly with food, then go for it. Make that decision. It doesn't matter that it's not socially acceptable. I'm giving you permission here, right? And the funny thing is with food that it is socially acceptable, right? So kind of confusing, but the point is, if it's not hurting you, if you genuinely feel okay about it, then keep doing it, right? If it's not bothering you, go for it. That's what I'm here to say. But if it is bothering you, if you're worried about it, if you find yourself apologizing, if you find yourself thinking about it all the time, worrying about it, if it's adding to your waistline, if you're eating foods that are really not that great for you and it's hurting your health, if any of those things are happening and you're really concerned about it, then I'd say go for it. Keep trying to change and make a difference. Right? So you can keep hearing the chatter in the background and say, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But really, it's a big deal. So then you can keep having that dissonance there. Or you can just decide it's not a big deal and leave it. Or you can fix it, right? So those are your three options. Today, we're going to talk about fixing it, because that's what I want to do. And that is what a lot of you want to do. That's why you're here listening to the podcast. So the first thing that we need to do in order to fix it is, number one, realize that food isn't making you feel better. it's not helping you relax, and it just can't do that. It can't produce emotions for you, because we know from previous episodes that that emotions come from our thoughts, and that's it. They come from inside of us, and food and external things are in the world, and you're thinking things about those external things, and that's what's creating the emotion. It's not those external things that are creating the emotion, right? So whenever you go and you eat the food, you've been trained through a whole lifetime of conditioning to feel like that food is helping you relax and to feel like it's calming you down, and you think it's calming you down, but really it's your thoughts about the food that are maybe calming you down, or it's distracting you, or whatever it is. So let me take you through my scenario to show you what I'm talking about. So part of me, it's the end of the day. I just put the kids down, and I'm just ready to sit down and relax. And I tell myself, okay, I feel like I don't need food to relax, but that's just what I really, really want. So finally I give in and I eat some food. Okay. So last night I'm with my mom. I'm visiting my mom, and she brings out some popcorn. And I know personally for me that the popcorn makes me a little bit itchy from the oil, and it causes me acne and stuff like that. But I smell it. It smells delicious. We're playing a game, right? So I'm like, I'm going to eat some of that popcorn. But what happens, right? I'm eating that popcorn because I want to connect. I want to enjoy this time together with her. But what's going on in my head? If I really step back and look, I'm wondering, what's that going to do to my skin? How much is too much? Let me just eat a little bit. Maybe that won't be a big deal. Oh, but I want a little bit more. Maybe that'll be okay. Are they judging me? Are they thinking that I can't control myself? I was worried about all that stuff, right? And then it's really never enough. I ate that one little handful of popcorn that I said, okay, this much is not going to cause me problems. But then I want more, and I want more, and I want more. And when the popcorn's done, I had made some brownies earlier for an activity, and they were healthy brownies. I wanted to eat some, so I got some brownies out. But then the brownies aren't enough. Then I need to put some banana on it. Then after I eat the brownies, that's still not enough, right? I'm still dissatisfied. So the reason that I came into the food was for relaxation, for some satisfaction, right? I thought it's going to calm me. It's going to help me kind of seal the day off. But as I'm eating that food, I'm still dissatisfied, right? It's still not enough. That's what's going on in my head. Okay. So what I learned from this experience was that it's not actually calming me, right? If I go back and I track back to exactly what happened, what was I thinking during the process? What was I feeling, right? And I recommend that you do this as well in hindsight. Just look and go through that whole experience of the last time you snacked after dinner, right? And you go through and say, what was I looking for? What was I feeling? Did I really get what I was what I wanted to be feeling, right? And you can see, just like I did from this experience, that not only was I not comforted, I wasn't feeling satisfied by the end of eating either of those two snacks. The whole time, I'm not feeling calm. I'm actually more worried about, what's this going to do to me? What are other people thinking about me? What am I thinking about myself right now? Then you can go into how I feel like I can't control myself, and you're disappointed in yourself, right? So it's just all this perpetuating stress or disappointment, or whatever it was that you came to the food for, is probably just multiplying rather than diminishing. So I hope that makes sense. So number one is to realize that the food isn't making you feel better. It can't do that. So that's number one. The food isn't causing my emotions, right? And it's likely, because of the reason that you're going to eat the food, it's likely that it's just making things worse. So if the food's not causing you to feel comforted, or whatever it is that you need, then what can we do to relax or to feel better? So that's number two, is to recognize what it is that you need to do to feel better. Okay, and so this is the big thing. This is why you're here. How do I feel better without eating my food? But I want to just reference you back to the number one thing I just said. You've got to realize that food isn't making you feel better, and you've got to realize that on a deep level. Because if you try to move on to step two and say, okay, well, I just need a different way to relax, right? Then it's going to be hard to move on and find another way to relax, because inside you're still going to want that food, right? So if I haven't gone through that process and realized on a deep level for myself that food isn't solving my problem, it's actually making it worse, then this is what happens, because it's happened in the past, right? You think, I should give up food. I shouldn't eat at night. I really need to stop. So then you try to think of other things you can do. What are some tips? You go online. Oh, I need to drink tea instead. What if I drink water? What if I go to bed early? What if I eat just two chocolate chips this time, or whatever? So you go online and you find all these little tips. You bring them home and you decide, okay, I'm going to do that instead. And does that work? You tell me. How has that worked for you in the past, right? It doesn't, because you're trying to apply these little tips and tricks, which are great and which are great ways to relax, like go breathe or go get a massage, go relax, spend time with yourself. All of those are really great. Journaling, right? Drinking water and tea is great. I'm not saying that any of those things are bad. They are really awesome ways to relax and to feel calm and to pamper yourself, and they're wonderful. But if you go straight to the tips and say, what do I do? How do I change? How do I relax? And part of you still thinks that you want food, then you're not going to be relaxed. This is what's going to happen in your head. I shouldn't be eating that. Let me go try to read a book instead. But then you go read a book, and the whole time you're reading the book, what's your brain doing? It wants a snack. You deserve that snack. How come you're not letting yourself eat that snack, right? Because part of you really wants it still. So number one is totally important. You've got to realize, you've got to investigate on your level. You go through it mentally, go back and see what's really going on in your head. Is it really calming you? What is it that you're trying to get out of the food? Figure out, is it really doing that for you? And once you can break that barrier down and realize your truth, then it's going to be a lot easier to move forward. Because once I went through that process and I said, okay, I ate that popcorn, it didn't calm me, it didn't connect me to my family. I ate that brownie, it didn't calm me, it didn't make me feel satisfied, which is what I was looking for, and it didn't connect me to my family, it actually made it worse. And if I go through and do that every night that I eat a snack at night that I don't want to, and I go through every night and I say what really went on, then I can start to debunk that in my head, and I realize, you know what? I don't have to eat food to feel better. In fact, that's not working. Then I'm ready for step 2. Then I ask myself, how do I relax? How do I want to relax? I can go read a book and drink tea or whatever it is that I want to do. And this happened to me a couple months ago. I read This Naked Mind, and I had that revelation. I went through all the things, all of my thoughts. I debunked them in my head, and I knew 100% that food wasn't solving my problems. And I also knew 100% that I could solve my own problems, that I could do it a different way. So I decided I'm all done eating snacks after dinner because they're not serving me. They're not helping me. I decided 100%. It was the most freeing experience I think I've ever had. In fact, it was such a huge mindset shift for me, such an inside out shift, that the next day, whenever I was preparing food for my family, I'm getting lunch ready for the kids, it was my tendency to just pop some things in my mouth as I'm making food, right? Just a habit that's totally unconscious that I'm not even thinking about, right? And in the past, I had tried to stop doing it. And whenever I put something in my mouth, I'd be like, stop it, stop. You should stop that. That's not helping, or whatever. I give myself a lecture. But this day was totally different. I'm there, I'm preparing the food for the kids. I pop something in my mouth, and it was like my mouth didn't want it in there. It was so weird. It was like, what is that thing doing in my mouth? Right? That's the kind of huge shift that can happen whenever you do this through the right process, right? So instead of resisting and shoving and trying so hard and trying to get myself to stop eating those things, I convinced myself that it wasn't worth it, right? It's not working. And I decided, and then the next day, my whole body knew, right? I had this reaction that I never knew I would have had. So super cool. So the number one thing, again, is to realize that food isn't making you feel better. You walk through that in your brain, you discover, you move past those barriers. Number 2, then you can make the choice on whether or not your thoughts or how you want to feel better. How do you want to relax? How do you want to get that result that you were looking for with food? So after that experience, after I had cleared up all that thought work stuff and I made the decision. Then that night, whenever I go to bed, you know what I want to do? I just ask myself, what do you really want to do tonight? And that night I wanted to read a book and drink tea. I can't tell you how many times I've tried that in the past before, right? I shouldn't eat. I should go read my book. I should go journal. And I forced myself there, but that same thing that I was saying was happening. I went back and forth. I really want food. And that's what I'm thinking about the whole time when I was reading. But this time I did it backwards and I genuinely wanted to read my book and drink some tea. Genuinely wanted to do that. And I wasn't thinking about food at all. And in fact, there was a cup of nuts, trail mix sitting in my room that my husband had brought in on his desk. And I saw that cup of nuts and it didn't tempt me at all. I didn't even want it at all. And it was just such a freeing experience to me to know that I was 100% in control in those moments that I didn't desire food at all. It was real as possible for everyone. So there's one more step or key element to this process though, because there's going to be times when you don't feel better, when you can't just go and make yourself feel better through reading a book or doing thought work or whatever it is that you're doing, right? So the step one is to realize that food's not helping me feel better. Step two is maybe to go somewhere else and feel better, right? To recognize what makes you feel better, which could be reading a book, but ultimately it's not those external things, right? Just like food wasn't helping us feel better. It's the internal thoughts that we're having about what we're doing that's making us feel better, right? So we recognize that our emotions come from our thoughts and that food can't solve those problems. They can't make us feel better. They can't make us feel satisfied. The relaxation stuff isn't actually making us feel satisfied either. We recognize that our emotions come from our thoughts, and changing our thoughts is really what's going to change our emotions, right? So you can find relaxation that way, right? But ultimately, what if you're in this big crisis or something? What if it takes days to feel better, right? Then you can't just flip a switch and do a little mindset exercise and feel better, right? You're still feeling stressed or discouraged or distracted. No matter how hard you try, maybe you have a time where that happens for days. So the secret number 3 to stop late night snacking is to be okay with negative emotions. Okay. So not only do you know where those emotions come from, you know how to change them, but you've got to be okay with feeling negative emotions too, because there's going to be times whenever you can't flip the switch, when you can't change your mind immediately, when it's going to take you a couple days or weeks, or maybe a loved one died, right? Or maybe you're in a coronavirus and there's things that are going to last a long time. So you've got to learn to be okay with being disappointed. Be okay with feeling sad and know that that's just part of life. That's just who you are. And you got to be okay with sitting with that feeling. So all of these things are easier said than done, my friends. I totally get it, right? Okay, I'm just going to whenever I'm feeling stressed, right? I'm just going to be okay with sitting there feeling stressed. I know that it's harder than it sounds, but one of the reasons that we have such a struggle feeling negative emotions is because we think they are bad. We think that we've done something wrong, right? So not only are we feeling stressed or we're feeling depressed, but then we are stressed about being stressed and we're depressed about being depressed, right? We layer things on, which makes it a lot harder. But if you're able to sit back and say, you know what, I'm depressed right now, or I'm stressed right now, you just name it and you sit with it and you breathe, right? Then a lot of that layering's gone. You're not stressed about being stressed anymore. You're not depressed about being depressed anymore. You can tell yourself and your body, hey, we can do this. I can do disappointed. I can be sad for a while. My body knows how to deal with all these emotions or it wouldn't produce them, right? And you can reassure yourself that you are strong enough and your body is strong enough. And that is a whole nother episode, my friends. So we won't get into it too much here. But my major message for this episode is that it is possible to stop late night snacking. It's possible to stop overeating. And there is a process. It's methodical. It's doable. And It doesn't require you to struggle. That is the amazing thing, right? Once you figure this out, it is a process. It is a work, but it's not struggle. It's not fighting. It's not feeling out of control, right? It's knowing that you're in control, that you know what the solution is, and that you can choose what you want to do. Because number one, the food isn't what's making you feel better. Food can't make you feel better. These external things can't create emotions. They may taste good. They may have a tingly, exciting feeling in your mouth, but it's not changing the way that you feel emotionally, right? And so those emotions come from your thoughts about the food or about what's going on. So number one, the food is not helping you change. It's not helping you feel any emotion. You're doing that. You're creating that from your thoughts. Number two, you need to know that you can feel how to feel better. And you feel better through that same process, through your thoughts. It's your thoughts that are making you feel better emotionally. It's not the food. It's not the relaxation techniques that you're trying to do. It's your thoughts about those things. And whenever you clear up that confusion in your brain, then you can relax into them and be able to use those relaxation tools better because you're not worried about the deprivation of not having the food that you want, and you know that you're the one who is controlling your emotions. Hope this all is making sense. So beyond that, you do your best to not run to food. You try other things. But ultimately, there are going to be times, about 50% of the time, honestly, when you're not feeling great, when you've got negative emotions, and that's okay. That's part of life. It's part of the process, and you can totally do that. Your body's designed to feel emotions and to have emotions, and there's positive and negatives. There's yin and yang, right? There's darkness and light. There's 50% of the time you're not going to feel amazing, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. Just embrace it, love it, move through it as much as you can. And that is the secret, my friends. I'm going to keep saying it over and over until it sinks in because it is freeing. And whenever you reach this point where you know that you're in control of food, when you get to that place where you can say, I don't have to have food to feel better, that is a freeing place. It is a place of control where you're in control of yourself and your own emotions, and you take on your own power again. And that's where confidence comes from, knowing that you are in control of yourself. So the challenge today is to not make yourself do anything that you don't want to do, but just go back. If you had a snack last night, think about why you went to that snack, what you were thinking and feeling the whole time, and come to a place of truth. That's step number one. And just keep doing it over and over and over again until you can see what's going on clearly and you can understand what it is happening in your life, and if food is really there making you feel better or helping you be happier, all of those things. That's your challenge this week. Have a fabulous week, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.